Look at all these incredible people joining us for the Trump Tyranny Tracker today. Thank you for being here. Kevin Phillips is the name I see at the bottom of this list, but there's so many others. Maggie W, Genius, Glute, I think I'm saying it right. Sage's mom. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Trump Tyranny Tracker today. It's day 185 of the Trump administration. We're tracking the most significant authoritarian developments of the last 24 hours. Olga, we passed the 6-month mark in the last few days, and it does seem like things are very different on this side of the 6-month than they were on the previous 6 months. And we're looking at some of that today. Any thoughts about the 6-month mark that you want to share as we head into here?
Well, I mean, they came prepared. Trump learned the first time around where he went wrong. And this time, when they came in, they were fully prepared and got to work literally at 12:01 p.m. after he was sworn in. And we see this, rush of capturing all the institutions, weaponizing the institutions, and it's happening very methodically and systematically. And this is exactly what we're seeing.
Very fast, much faster than anyone could have anticipated or seen, but they are organized, as you point out. All of this ties into our top story today, which ICE has deployed a new app called Mobile Fortify that allows agents to scan any person's face and instantly access data from over 200 million images tied to the federal databases, including DHS, State Department, CBP, FBI, and state records. The system returns names, nationalities, deportation orders, and comprehensive personal information in real time, creating an unprecedented surveillance network that can identify virtually any American or visitor on site. This is exactly what we've been warning in my New Feudalism series. It is here now in reality. They have face recognition, and it's available to them instantly.
Exactly. And I mean, this is one of the first things, like from putting together the tracker a few months ago. This is one of the first patterns that I saw with the building of a centralized surveillance state and fusing all the data from different agencies, scrubbing social media, license plate readers, and everything, putting this all together. Right now, they're using it for immigrants, but immigrants are the test case. I mean, this will be expanded to everyone on top of the fact that they are also, digging into state data. So, I mean, we're in a very dangerous time. We're literally watching both a surveillance state and a police state being put together right in front of our faces. And I mean, this is just the latest of so many acts that have happened since the beginning of February of seeing how they are, gathering, collecting data, and preparing to weaponize it.
And this is interesting as well, because my understanding is that the basis for all of this was the Clearview facial recognition system. And if it is indeed the Clearview facial recognition system, that system is built on, some people say very right-wing racist principles. And so the data is in fact already considered, tainted by racism. And so it'd be interesting to see if that is in fact what they're using to base this new Fortify app. But it is incredibly troubling that every American can now be identified using facial recognition, and their entire database of government records can be pulled up at any moment by any official, really. This is basically what we're saying, because even though it's only ICE now, you can bet all the other departments get access to it. That is never happened in America. It never should have happened in America. It's anti-American to be able to identify people's private data at an instant like that. That's why the government is forced to have confidentiality, is forced to have privacy laws. And here they are just completely ignoring every single one of those and allowing the entire law and order task forces in America access to everything that you are considered private, and immediately so.
Welcome to Russia. This is exactly how Russia has been. They use, sophisticated technology and informant networks in order to silence dissent. So this is exactly where we are. The thing is that, at least in swing states and blue states, people, can band together and push back by forcing the states to, both sue this regime, and also at the same time enact or act upon their privacy laws, because the states have privacy laws themselves. And this is something that we, I think, can mobilize to push our states, at least the ones who are cooperative, to do something like that, to push
Yeah.
back against this.
Someone's asking, where are the cameras? Well, the cameras are everywhere. I mean, there are cameras literally hundreds on every street. You can't imagine how many cameras are actually you're on every day, whether it's ATM cameras or street cameras. There's just tons of cameras available to people. But this could also be that they stop you, they can scan you and immediately get your identity. It doesn't only have to be when you're walking around. But for sure, I think all of America is probably covered by some sort of cameras in almost every major city or center in America.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I have NYPD cameras on my corner,
Yeah.
and several of them along the way. I mean, any federal agency can tap into that camera and or grid of cameras and monitors. So yeah, absolutely. The cameras are here, but this is more so of them using a photo of you. So they scan a photo and this
They'll
will
scan
pull
you.
up,
Yeah.
yeah, scan you,
Yeah.
and this will pull up all the photos of you and who you are and then pull your data together, pull
Yeah.
up all your data.
Yeah. And from there, it's not hard to imagine a social credit system like they have in China, and it really can control your access to goods, services, and also punish you if you do things that are out of line with the state. And our second story, this border czar, Tom Homan, is now vowing to flood the zone with ICE agents in sanctuary cities like New York, using an off-duty officer shooting incident as justification for mass enforcement actions. Homan is threatening large-scale raids and arrests while accusing Democratic mayors of harboring criminals and undermining public safety, escalating the confrontation between federal immigration enforcement and local governments that refuse to cooperate. This is turning out to be a very difficult time for the sanctuary cities, and some cities are beginning to even discard their sanctuary city status.
Yeah, we saw this happen in Louisville out
Mm,
of fear of retribution from Trump. But I mean, again, I just literally said, welcome to a police state and a surveillance state.
mm.
Right now, again, I will keep repeating, immigrants are the test case because they're one looking to see how far they can expand their powers before anyone stops them. And it will spread to all of us. And the fact is that, the Republicans just handed ICE unprecedented amount of money, and we will literally see masked thugs grabbing people, disappearing them off the streets in all major cities. So we're going to see what we've seen so far was only a sample of what's coming out now that this money is available to them. So when he said this, believe him, this is exactly, what they're doing, and now they have the resources to actually do it.
And New York is really going to become a flashpoint as this new mayor race is still undergoing, of course. But, if this mayor does win, this mayoral candidate does win, it's going to be a real flashpoint. This is a big issue for the mayor or potentially incoming mayor.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's the people of New York who are going to direct the mayor, whoever
Mm.
it is, regardless if it's Adam who wants to cooperate or, any other mayor who chooses not to and to abide by the sanctuary policies. Bottom line is that this is just, I mean, Americans have always been used to having, safe, nice neighborhoods. And we are not seeing law enforcement presence unless something actually happens, an isolated incident, not seeing military presence on the streets. And this is, what Trump is conditioning us to, seeing both military and law enforcement on our streets, walking through neighborhoods, disappearing people, no insignia, mask covering their face. And that's it. And Kat asked, what can we do? Again, if you're in a blue state or a swing state, purple state, contact every single local official, state official. I mean, start from the bottom to your local councilman all the way to your state senators and governor's office and everyone. I
I,
mean,
yeah, I also want to
make
remind
as much
people.
as possible. We should not have this.
Yeah. I also want to remind everyone that we've got this petition on narrative.org, petition format. Those petition formats can become more and more valuable right now because they get so many phone calls from people putting something in writing, saying to your local representative or your federal representative, you really object to these things based on 1, 2, and 3. Whatever the clearer it is, the more specific it is, the more you have something on the record that you've asked. them to act. And if they don't act, you can, of course, respond in kind. This is a terrifying proposition of what's happening here. The fact that we've discussed this on our authoritarianism 101 course about how they're turning the other into the enemy. How if you're a person of color, you're now an enemy of America. And they're using this ICE enforcement as a way of enforcing that. And of course, it's not specified as racism, but it is racism. That's basically what it is.
I mean, the whole policy right now has shifted to a far right extremism, starting from these policies to, what we're seeing racial profiling on steroids, sweeping up Americans. I mean, there was an American disappeared recently for 3 days.
Mm,
He was beaten in front of his family. Everyone is trying to tell, ICE that he is an American, and he was disappeared for 3 days. They couldn't locate him. This is Russia. I'm telling you, I don't think people really want to, see this happen and expand here, but this is what happens in Russia. I have documented it for over a decade, all these incidents where people are picked up and then the families running around for days, detention center, and the lawyers trying to locate their loved one. And this is, something that we should not be seeing here. We need to put a stop to it. We need to make a lot of noise in a very coordinated, joint effort, because this is not something that we should be used to. We don't want our kids growing up like this, seeing mass thugs running around, parks and on the streets, disappearing people, these scenes. This is not what America is about, and
mm.
we need to put a stop to it.
And it's such a slippery slope from here. You know that the actions are going to get more and more severe. The group of people that they're targeting is going to grow. This is just the beginning. If there's a time to try and stop it, it's now. Otherwise, it's going to get more and more entrenched over time and much more difficult to stop.
And with the State Department, as I was saying, this is, from top down. The State Department repurposed the refugee office to Office of Remigration, basically, which is an ethnic cleansing. Far right ideology to
Mm,
rid a country of all brown and black people and to remigrate with white people. I mean, this is coming from our State Department.
mm.
And the fact that the refugee office, has been repurposed for this, I mean, this just shows you the extremist far right nationalist ideology that we, are following.
It really is an apartheid state now. Our next story, at least three top Trump officials, James Blair, Russell Voigt, and Bill Pulte, I think, are visiting the Federal Reserve on Thursday to scrutinize its $2.5 billion innovation project. This coordinated pressure campaign appears designed to build a case for removing federal chair Jerome Powell, with Trump using the infrastructure project as a pretext to challenge the central bank's independence and justify leadership changes. I mean, this is outrageous because what he really wants is lower interest rates, but he's using this as a weapon, really. And to send these three officials in is quite a statement.
I hate to say, welcome to Russia
Mm,
again,
yeah.
because these sham investigations and prosecutions, I mean, happened there. They literally invented, manufactured, nothing into now a potential investigation. And this is all for Trump to take over the Fed and to take over monetary policy. Once this happens, once he crosses that line, and even some Republicans are recognizing how dangerous this is, because once he crosses that line, America is no longer going to be like the gold bear standard of investments and security.
Well, that's
And
already
this will
happening.
roil
Yeah.
markets if he chooses to, politicize the Fed.
I mean, China has already begun a massive sell-off of U.S. Treasury bonds, and that is going to directly impact the U.S. dollar, both in its position as the golden standard or gold standard of currencies in the world, but it's also, it's over for the American dollar. Really, there's no ways that if they sell these $5 billion of U.S. Treasury holdings, which they intend to do, it's going to be very difficult for the United States to hold on to that position, especially with China and the BRIC countries being so aggressive in trying to rebuild the renminbi as an alternative. We really have a challenge going on here that people aren't paying attention to as much because it's so out of the visibility of us all, that people aren't realizing that what Trump is doing is basically weakening the American dollar as far as he can. And then, he hopes, I think, to refinance the debt at a much lower rate based on Fed chairman who brings down interest rates. He hasn't agreed to that yet, of course, which is why there's so much pressure. But this is a U.S. Dollar devaluation exercise that Donald Trump is engaged in.
And the dollar has already lost since the beginning of the year over 10%.
Yeah.
So
Before China started this sell-off. So China's just started selling off. That's a lot of T-bonds that are going to be out there floating around, and maybe not enough buyers. The Justice Department has contacted Ghislaine Maxwell about cooperating on the Epstein case with Deputy AG Todd Blanche and former defense attorney for Donald Trump, confirming the outreach was directed by Trump himself. Maxwell's lawyer says she's willing to testify and has thanked Trump for uncovering the truth, suggesting this is really a coordinated effort to reopen the Epstein investigation under Trump's direct supervision. This is a really interesting state of affairs, but clearly what agreement these two make is not going to reveal the truth. It's going to bury the truth.
this is the quid pro quo.
Mm.
You want to see out of prison,
Yeah.
you go and testify and say this, and redirect the Epstein crimes, redirect them somewhere else. I mean, this is exactly what's happening.
Well,
And
and
I mean,
we
it's
know where she
happening
was.
in front of
Yeah.
our faces.
Yeah. The cover-up is happening in front of our faces. It's remarkable to see all these things taking place at the same time. The entire Congress is being sent home. I mean, because of they refuse to run a vote that could, get these documents out. You've got the president deflecting on Obama continuously. You can bet your bottom dollar that when Ghislaine Maxwell's out there testifying, if she wants this pardon that he's going to give her, she'll be doing his work and focusing on the Democrats. She'll be, underlining that QAnon storyline, that it was Democrats involved in this pedophile ring and Democrats that were doing all of this. I mean, I can't imagine there's any other narrative that they'll be pushing. Plus, you've got these 1,000 FBI investigators right now combing through all this evidence of the Epstein files and removing any references to Trump. I mean, you could not see anything more blatant as a cover-up than what we're seeing right now.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this has been a cover up from the beginning. And, besides all the actions you listed, I mean, you see how Trump is even suing the Wall Street Journal,
Mm.
to try to stop any kind of reporting, because my suspicion is that that was just, one part of a very big story that they have, that they're working on. And that's it. Look, it's outrageous because Republicans are fully captured by Trump. No one is stepping in. We have a Department of Justice hijacked by Trump, and you see them doing this, and not even in like a smart way. I mean, they're
It's
making so
obvious.
many mistakes
Yeah.
along the way, and you see them doing this, and there's absolutely no pushback or accountability for this.
And of course,
And
Maureen Comey, who was the prosecutor on all of this, was fired just last week. So she can't be there to, resist any of this that's happening, and she can't appear before the court either to discuss what's going on.
She can't, but she can, because Democrats can request her to come in and
Oh,
speak
it's
to what
interesting.
was going on. Absolutely. A lot of
Mm.
people who have been purged from agencies, Democrats have had, meetings with them and had a hearing set up to find out what was happening. So she can absolutely reveal anything she wants. Whether she'll go down that route is a different story, but she can reveal between hearings in Congress, although Congress has gone till September. She can give exclusive interview, to media outlet. So she can, at least reveal her part. I doubt she'll get into the details
Mm.
of the case, but she can talk about the cover up and the pressure campaign
Yeah.
to, move this case away from Trump.
It really is one of these stories. It reminds me a lot of the Mueller report, where there was so much anticipation built into what the Mueller report would ultimately come to. And of course, it didn't reach to that because, there was a cover-up. Bill Barr did that massive cover-up, whitewashed the entire Mueller report. And this feels a little bit like that. We know what the potential is for a Ghislaine Maxwell, all the revelations coming out. But it seems to me that the president and his Department of Justice are engaged in a massive cover-up exercise that is going to, hide the truth forever. Hopefully, Democrats have the power and the wherewithal to really fight this and expose what they can. They've certainly got some good evidence.
And while we're speaking, the Florida judge just denied the release of the transcripts for Epstein.
Oh,
I just got a breaking news alert. Or it could go the other way. It could honestly be that, because I don't think, even if this is pointing at Democrats after how much this has raised, the public attention, it could be the other way. You want a pardon, shut your mouth, disappear, and we never hear from you again. You
yeah.
know? Because he might not want Epstein to keep coming up and coming up and coming up. Because look, we're in the end of July.
Mm,
Come September, everyone gets into full swing for midterms,
yeah.
preparing for campaigns and whatnot. The last thing Republicans or anyone want is, Epstein still lingering
Hmm.
over this. So, I mean, it could also work the other way. Instead of pushing her to disclose things, or conspiracies, he could just tell her, shut up.
Hmm.
You'll go live your life somewhere.
Hmm.
And just, exactly, she probably will fall up a flight of stairs.
Yeah. I mean, sure, her life
um,
is certainly at risk. On the other hand, she does have a lot of information, and she could do complete third option there. She could come out and say, here's the truth. Maybe she might be more principled than we give her credit for, because she's ultimately an agent. She was following orders in a lot of this stuff, I believe. So she might have some. She might be able to come out there and say, "Listen, I've got the truth. I'm going to tell the truth, and you still have to pardon me because I have all this stuff that I could throw at you if I want to." As I think she was trying to do with the Wall Street Journal story that came out. So it's a third option. I don't think it's a very likely option, but it's a third option. It could happen.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think the most likely option is that they're trying to give her a warning to shut up, and if she shuts up,
Yeah.
then, because they have the MAGA circle to circulate, and they have the weaponized Department of Justice to release, just like we're watching with Tulsi Gabbard, release bullshit, to try to paint Obama as someone who is treasonous and, that they committed crimes. I mean, the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, also can release a few papers and say, oh, this is, look, it's the Democrats who did it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Whatever it
We
is,
don't
this
know. Yeah.
Epstein is not going anywhere as much as Trump tries to make it go away. I mean, the uh, curiosity by Americans is only growing, and it is only because he's covering it up, and people are like, wait a minute, even people who've never even thought of Epstein are like, wait, what's going on? Why is he covering up? Why is he pushing so hard to make sure, this information doesn't come out?
And there's a lot of there, as I've uncovered in my reporting and as you have as well, there's just a lot of information around Epstein and his connections to the mob, his connections to intelligence agencies, so much involved in his history that, there's lots for people to dig into. The next story, Trump is preparing to deploy up to 2,000 National Guard troops from 20 states to assist ICE in detention centers, with soldiers helping with fingerprinting, mouth swabbing, and facility operations. The deployment uses Title 32 status by bypassing traditional restrictions on military involvement in domestic law enforcement, marking a significant militarization of immigration detention. I'm sure these National Guard people, this is the last thing they want to be involved in.
That's the last thing they want to be involved in. But again, since the past, for already 3 months, we are watching Trump conditioning Americans to military use on U.S. soil.
Mm,
And this, is dangerous because, I mean, again, ICE just got the biggest budget ever, bigger than several intelligence and law enforcement agencies
that's
put
correct.
together.
Yeah.
Why do they need the National Guard, involved? And you see Marines, you see National Guard. I mean, this is all to normalize the use of military on U.S. soil. And again, right now it's immigrants, tomorrow it's us.
Yeah, and they are growing a domestic Secret Service kind of force, and that's exactly what it's going to be made of, National Guard and ICE people. The Justice Department has abruptly fired newly appointed U.S. Attorney Desiree Lee Grace after New Jersey District Court judges declined to extend Trump ally Alina Habba's interim appointment. When the judges voted to appoint Grace instead of Haba, Attorney General Pam Bondi retaliated by removing Grace and accusing the judges of threatening the president's core powers, escalating the administration's conflict with federal judiciary. The administration really wants to control New Jersey's attorney. There must be a reason for that, but this is quite something, this showdown that's taking place.
Yeah, I mean, they want to plant one in every state,
Mm,
frankly, especially blue states where they have a reason. They just did the same thing in New York,
mm,
where their nominee got rejected, and they did a workaround where they actually gave him a different position where he wouldn't need Senate confirmation, and he literally is still, upstate New York in this role. So it's the similar situation here. We see the judges stepped in because Alina Habad, I doubt, will be able to get confirmed by Senate,
mm.
although you never know. But here you see, I mean, the fact that the judges nominated someone, and I mean, it wasn't even 20 minutes that the Department of Justice fired them. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out today, and if it keeps going that the judges appoint someone and then the DOJ fires them, or if DOJ puts someone in for another interim 120-day position.
Don't forget the Trump's home base is New Jersey to a large extent. Bedminster's there, so he's got a lot of. Is it Bedminster? I think it is Bedminster. They have a lot of. He's got a lot of reason to have a friendly attorney there, and not some independent-minded
They're
attorney.
and they're trying to do this across all
Yeah,
states.
yeah.
This is one of their ways of infiltrating, like the Russians. The Russians infiltrate everywhere.
Mm,
This is exactly what they're doing. They want to put their operatives in every single state, every single agency, from elections to, every position that they can, because
yeah.
then the more they corrupt it, the easier it is to then bring states under control.
It really is a cancer. Then once it's into the system, it metastasizes. That is the Trump tourney tracker for today. Everyone should join us again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Plus, if you want to sign up for our Authoritarianism 101 course, last night was another great session. We have another one next Tuesday. You can find the details on Olga's Trump tourney tracker .substack.com and at unmaskingrussia.substack.com and at narrative.org, NARATIV.org. I got all that out almost. And I'll be back at 3 p.m. with Dean Blundell for the top 5 stories of the day on the 5 Stack. And we shall see you all tomorrow here on Trump Tourney Tracker. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Bye,
And you
everyone.
too, Olga. Have a great day.
Bye. You too. Bye.